LeBron to Instagram, posting, "Trust the process. Always a great time playing against one of the best to ever play the game. Hashtag Summer 2018 goal." I mean, just put it all out there.
Exactly. Right.
Subtle. All right, Chris, is Philly the best fit for LeBron next season?
Looking at Cleveland, and look, I think, I mean, you may be picking the Cavs to win it all, but I think they'll win the East, and I don't see a team that can compete with Golden State unless they really improve. So that being the case, when I look going west, going to the Lakers, even with Paul George, look, Paul George and LeBron, you're going to be a great team. And they do have some young talent, but it's still the West. You still got Golden State. You still got Houston. You still got San Antonio, for that matter. San Antonio, I actually love him there because all the guys we compare him to, for the most part, Magic Johnson with Pat Riley, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Shaq with Phil Jackson, Tim Duncan with Greg Popovich, they all had these legendary coaches. And some of them didn't even win rings. Most of them never won rings without that iconic coach. LeBron has never had that iconic coach.
I feel like you think, maybe I'm trying to speak for you, but I think, am I wrong in saying you think San Antonio, basketball-wise, would be the best fit? If you just don't think, like,
I don't think LeBron would go there. But it's San Antonio. If Kawhi, if there's no issues with Kawhi and the team, or if they can work it out and everything gets fine, I do think that would be the best basketball fit. If he went to San Antonio, I think that's the only team in the league. If LeBron went there, I would say, oh, they're right there with Golden State. It's a pick 'em because we saw how San Antonio played against Golden State even without LeBron. Now you bring LeBron there. I don't care who the role players are because whoever they are, Greg Popovich makes them great.
Going to be some foreign guys that can shoot. That's what we know.
And if you could keep Aldridge with LeBron and Kawhi, I do think that'd be the best basketball fit. Houston, here's the challenge with Houston, and some people say, well, that'd be a challenge in San Antonio. I don't think as much. Is James Harden, I'm not saying it won't work, but when LeBron goes to a team, if you're a veteran superstar, you have to be able to understand, I'm number 2. I'm not LeBron is number 1, at least until he really begins to decline. And James Harden is going to win the MVP this year.
James Harden should feel like he's the best player in the league.
Okay.
He's not.
So if you're James, and you're right, if I'm James Harden and LeBron James comes to my team, he didn't defer at all to Chris Paul, who I know is not LeBron, but, he's not changed his game one bit.
If you're James Harden, you rightfully should feel, all right, hold on. I'm going to win the MVP this year. I'm sure he feels he should have won it 2 of the last 3 years. The last year when Russ won it, I know he feels he should win it. And the 2015, when Steph won it the first time, we all know.
And
James Harden thought he should win it, and the players thought he should win it. So if you're James Harden, you are rightfully thinking, hold on. 3 of the last 4 years, I've been the best player in the league in the regular season. I believe that's what he feels, and I think a lot of people agree with him on that. He's been the best player in the league 3 of the last 4 years. I might not feel that way, but a lot of people do. So why would I defer to anyone? Like, James Harden has, as crazy as it sounds, because when people discuss the best player in the league, vast majority of people say LeBron, some people say KD, and there's still a few people that say Steph's underrated, like Steph's the best guy. Harden is not. Nobody says Harden. And Harden over the last, 4 years has as many high MVP finishes as any of those guys except for Steph. So I understand why he might feel more like Derrick Rose felt, which is, remember when LeBron was potentially going to go to Chicago? Rose hadn't won his MVP yet. He was about to, though, and Rose was like, I don't need to recruit him. This is my team, which is why, for me, I think the best basketball fit, maybe short-term, could be Houston if Harden is cool with it. But the best legacy fit, along with basketball, is Philadelphia.
Even better than San Antonio.
Yes, because there's no yeah, but. With San Antonio, the yeah, but is, okay, you're joining a team that's won championships, the greatest coach ever. Kawhi Leonard's been a finals MVP. With Houston, oh, wait, so you're going to join the reigning MVP, a team that won, what are they going to win, 65 games this year? If you go to Philly, Those guys have never won anything.
Yep.
They're all young. Like if you go to Philly and win, there is no asterisk. There is no, oh, you did it. If you go to Houston and win a title, not that there's a huge asterisk, but you did
Houston,
join.
There's a little, yeah.
There is something.
Yep.
And if you go to San Antonio, which we don't think he will, there is at least something to be said about what the coach was. Now, I don't think it'd be fair.
I think that's where LeBron's been at a bit of a deficiency. And I'm not criticizing Eric Spoelstra, Ty Lue, Mike Brown, all these. They've been good coaches. But they're not Greg Popovich or Phil Jackson or Pat Riley.
Not the Pantheon coaches. And those are basically everyone that we look at, or even Bill Russell with Red Auerbach. Kareem with Pat Riley later in his career. Like, almost all those guys have had the benefit of extraordinary coaches and struggled, by the way, without him. Kobe struggled, the small-time Phil wasn't there. Jordan struggled, the small-time Doug Collins was there. So that is something LeBron's never had the benefit of. I think that's the best fit for his legacy. And I think they could win a title. Like if Embiid were to stay healthy. I'm very interested to see. You mention Golden State all the time. Golden State would have more talent. I understand that. But I look there and I see 6'8", 6'10", 7'2".
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, go play the small ball lineup, be hard to defend, but you've got nowhere to hide Steph. You got nowhere to hide anybody because of the overwhelming size of what that team could be. And no one could say LeBron was joining a team that would have won without him, that was fine without him, which they could say in Houston.
Beyond that, LeBron, I agree with you, they could win a title or two with LeBron as the best player. And then as he faded a little and Embiid or Ben or whoever became the best player, he still could win a couple more titles. And so, yeah, I agree. That's probably the best fit right now.
Okay.
Plus, you've got those young guys that are actively recruiting him. They want him there. They want to learn from him.
He and Ben Simmons have the same agent. They're close. He's a mentor to Ben. It'd be a great fit.
Embiid seems to be in love with him.
I would prefer to see him stay in the East, not because it's an easier path, but if LeBron leaves the East, do you want to see Toronto in the finals?
It decimates
with all
the
due
conference.
respect.
It decimates the conference.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Chris, how worried are you about the Cavs' struggles?
I'm not worried. I mean, they can win the Eastern Conference. I felt that even before the trades. I feel that way now. Doesn't look like they can beat Golden State or Houston or whoever comes out of the West, but they certainly can win the East. It's interesting because I feel like they're searching. Look, what they're going through are just the normal growing pains of a new team that's been put together, okay? But I've said searching because last night, LeBron says, you know, we got too much going on. We need to dial back, simplify. A few days earlier, Ty Lue, the head coach, had said, well, we become too predictable offensively. We're not putting enough stuff in for the new guys. We've been too careful with them. So they're just searching. They don't know. They don't have an explanation. I feel like I have an explanation. When I look at this team offensively, I've said it before, I think they're too three-point shot centric. And I don't want them to stop shooting threes, and I don't want them to stop shooting a lot of threes because they are a good three-point shooting team. However, when I look at their half-court offense, which is a mess, and it's been a mess really since the trade, if not before, what I see is a team where you essentially have 5 guys on the perimeter around the three-point line, other than Tristan, who's not an offensive threat, so he may be in the lane, and you have one guy driving. It might be LeBron, it might be Jordan Clarkson, it might be Rodney Hood. And that guy that drives is either going all the way to the cup and finishing. LeBron's doing that a lot. Or if he draws a double team or doesn't want to finish, he'll kick it out to a three-point shooter. I think they need to have more cutting with the driver.
Cutting from the drive. Exactly.
Yeah, they did it a few times last night. LeBron got a few passes from a driver. Larry Nance Jr. got a few passes and finished with layups or dunks. They can do that more often, and I think that would be a big help in their offense because I think it's kind of predictable. It's either one guy at the top of the key or at the wing who's sizing you up and going to go by you and then kick it out or finish, and that's it. So bring some cutting. Most of their movement is just for pick and roll. Other teams, you see a lot of cutting. You see a lot more movement on the baseline. With the Cavs, you see going to set a pick, and then everybody else is kind of standing around.
You heard what LeBron said. Ty Lue, after the game, said they thought they were thinking too much on offense. So the question is, how worried am I? Big picture, I'm not concerned. However, What is odd about this this stretch right now is the Cavs over the last 3.5 years have had a lot of ups and downs. That's almost always been based on their defense. The offense has been elite, top 5 in the league, basically from the first moment LeBron came back. Like, when they've ebbed and flowed, it's been because sometimes they've had a good defense, mediocre defense, awful defense to go along with what has been a very good offense. What I saw last night was a team that looked stagnant on offense and a team that, if not for the transition game, which has improved since they added these younger, more athletic players, they would really struggle to score. You mentioned the three-point shot. Since the Cavs, with the new players, they've lost 3 times. In those 3 losses, 8 of 35, 8 of 34, 9 of 32 last night from 3. That's 25 of 101. So that's pretty easy math. It's just under 25% from 3 on a lot of three-point shots per game. So to me, there were some positive signs in that game in the second and third quarters last night where I thought the defense was playing excellent basketball, where it looked like if Joel Embiid was
very well.
I thought the defense was bad in the first quarter. I thought they were going to have to score 120 to win it. And then the second and third quarters, I think they held Philly to a combined 45 points. I thought actually 42 points. I thought the defense played well in the middle of the game and really early in the fourth quarter until the very end of it.
They held them to 44% shooting, and quickly, I think one encouraging thing was I saw Larry Nance Jr. doing a decent job guarding Joel Embiid. So you can look at a small lineup where he can play center, LeBron can play the 4, and that's going to be a pretty good lineup.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of defense, 76ers have the 4th best defense in the league. So do we give any credit to them?
No.
You say no?
Just young. I mean, they're a good defensive team, don't get me wrong. But no, the Cavs should be able to maneuver against that defense. No.
Philly has length and youth, and so they are full of effort. Like, they're not taking possessions off. So it's one of the reasons that they're a tough team to score on. Like you mentioned, they're a top 5 defense for opponent field goal percentage, for points per 100 possessions. But the other thing that's reminded me of was the first dozen games of the season. Remember, LeBron had missed training camp. You have all these new players. They started off 5-7. The Cavs are going to be in a really odd spot, unlike any team that I can remember, any good team in the modern NBA, where 4 separate times in one season, they're going to have to essentially remake what they're trying to do. Once to start the season with the new players who didn't get a training camp with LeBron. Once right after Christmas when Isaiah Thomas came back. Once right after the trade deadline right now. And then once again in a few weeks when Kevin Love, who they will have plays run for Kevin Love. They will run an enormous amount of their offense when LeBron's on their bench through Kevin Love. Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, George Hill have never played 1 single minute in their careers as a teammate of Kevin Love. So they're going to have to go through this whole thing again. LeBron and his excellence in the month of February, and he was very good again last night, has sustained them to a degree to where it's not like you have to worry about them falling out of the playoffs. You don't have to significantly worry about them falling out of the top 4 seeds. But this is going to continue to be a growing process.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.